Today's episode, we're going to talk about 4 misconceptions about AI and how to create a learning environment for your business or your place of work or your establishment. Enjoy.
'Cause I'm terrified, there's no more waiting. I'm running out of what comes next. Running through jobs I'm gonna hate. Living paycheck to paycheck. Like my parents and their parents and their parents before them. I should be happy, I have no personal effects. But I've got my encore. I'm back living on their floor.
Welcome to the Age of Jeremy. My name is Jeremy Quintanilla. I'm the founder and CEO of Q Consolidated Limited. We focus on investing and creating businesses in media and entertainment, finance, investing and insurance, education and e-learning, art, music and the humanities, earth and human sustainability and advancement, along with earth and space exploration and transportation. Our current business includes 3T Warrior Academy. Businesses include 3T Warrior Academy, Q Financial, Age of Radio, and Merlin, the smartest way to track your crypto, just to name a few. You can find me on all socials at Age of Jeremy, except on X, it's at Age of Jeremy Q, and on Facebook, it is Cesar Jeremy Quintanilla. Also, these episodes, except for the lo-fi episodes, are available on YouTube as audio MP4s, I guess you could say. So make sure that you follow me on YouTube because there's other videos on there as well that are not part of this podcast. And that's at YouTube at Age of Jeremy. If you are new or newer to this podcast, this is all about the trials and tribulations I go through to build my business empire and hope you pick up some wisdom along the way. I also have guests that share their trials and tribulations to become content creators and their adventures they have gone through to become entrepreneurs. If you want to see Coach CJV's financial blueprint, there is a link to my link tree in the episode description. It is a warrior's guide to financial freedom. And guess what? It is absolutely free. So make sure that you check that out. Please also join my Q Consolidated channel, which is also free, in my Age of Jeremy Instagram account. I provide extra insight on the things I have going on in business and in my life. So hopefully you will find some wisdom in that as well. And again, it's free to join. Also, make sure to check out ageofradio.com to see all of our amazing podcasts. We will be adding more soon. In fact, we actually added a few more OK Boomer, Killer Lashes, and we're about to release the Beckett podcast, I think is what it's called. So Beckett, I apologize if I butchered that. And you will look forward to your email and we will get that bad boy taken care of. You can also join our amazing community of content consumers and content creators that are addicted to podcasting Facebook group. Everyone is welcome to participate in that as well. So let's go ahead and get started. I am going to bombard everybody in the world with artificial intelligence and making sure that you do not miss out on this opportunity. I've mentioned it before that you need to be able to utilize artificial intelligence for your entrepreneurship, and not to be afraid of new technologies and lean into them. And so I'm encouraging everybody to take part of artificial intelligence as much as possible and don't be scared of new technologies. And one of those things that I hope to do as I learn more about it is to educate you more about it, obviously, and then also to find information that can help make it, I guess, easier for you to be okay with those changes that are coming up. The only consistent in life is change, right? And so it is important to be flexible as things change and to learn new technologies and learn new things as they come up. And one of the things that's always confused me is I don't know if I was born this way or if it was something that was nurtured in me throughout life, but I don't like not knowing stuff. So if I have something to do, and sometimes this can be detrimental to myself, and I understand that, and I need to be more flexible in this, is that I like to learn everything that I can about something. Sometimes that takes longer, but from my experience, when I understand it all, right, as much as I can, I'm better able to utilize whatever it is that I was learning. And that's important to me. And so I don't necessarily think that you have to know all the ins and outs of everything before you start using it. but be curious about things that are existing in the world. Be curious about learning new things. Be curious about what anybody tells you. Be curious about whatever I tell you. Be curious about what anybody from any of my companies tells you. Always make sure that you are going and doing everything you can to do your own research, do your own understanding, and always look at the opposing side. Go deep into the opposing side. It's very, very fun in my opinion, and very interesting. And it's great because if you really truly believe the things that you believe, right? If those things are important to you and those values matter to you, as you jump into the other side, you will realize that you you were right in believing what you believe. And so I just encourage you to always go deep into both sides of everything and go into the other side utilizing the news and information that they put out into it. And so for instance, what I mean is if you're trying to learn, say, I'm just going to use this because I've studied Islam in college, not from a degree standpoint, but from a humanities upper level division course that I had to take. And so, like, go and from there, right? When I was studying it, it was taught to go and learn more about it from the religion itself. And so, what I mean by that is that if you are a Christian and people are saying that you're wrong, then dive into that religion with the religion. Don't dive into that religion from teachings from your religion, if that makes sense. So go and try the religion to see if it makes sense to you, and you will start to see whether or not you're fickle or you really believe the things that you believe. So I encourage you to do that. But I have these four misconceptions about AI. This is from news.microsoft.com, a great news source for articles. And this is by Vanessa Ho. So she has these four myths. Uh, she writes about from Carmel Allison, and she offers her misconceptions about AI, but the article's written by Vanessa Ho. Allison, who studies AI trends as a technical advisor for Microsoft Chief Technology Officer Kevin Scott, she says, I've always had the drive to understand these huge amorphous things that we deal with as humans. There are no easy answers in artificial intelligence or AI, which is part of what makes it fun. It's an open-ended exploration of what we want the future to look like. And these are some of those misconceptions that Allison speaks about with Vanessa, and Vanessa wrote the blog. So, myth one, AI will take everyone's jobs. So, AI will change the nature of some jobs while creating new opportunities for people to focus on more meaningful and creative tasks, Allison says. We have an opportunity to rethink how we work and how we leverage these new AI tools in our work streams. For example, AI that can write boilerplate code or summarize spreadsheet data gives people the freedom to use their time more strategically to solve bigger problems and invent new economies, she says. AI is going to up level us as humans and take care of some of those tedious tasks that maybe we didn't like in the first place. For us as humans, we're faced with the interesting question of, well, and what you want to spend your time doing. So the idea of technologies, the idea behind a lot of this, and I'm not going to get too political with this, but the idea behind technology is that technology was supposed to come along and make it so we didn't have to work as much inside of organizations. But then what happened was, because everything is about more and more and more and more and more profit, once technology came in, the idea was those people didn't have to work as much. So let's say we could go from an 8-hour workday to a 4-hour day because everybody was using technology. We could have kept the pay the same, paid those workers the same. They could have used the technology. They could have went out to a 4-day work week, but maybe got paid for 8 or 12 hours because the profit was coming in more. But all of that profit flowed up to the top, and we became these profit monsters. And then we would just say, okay, well, you can't do it. We're going to get rid of you, or we're going to bring in new people that have new skill sets, or we need you to do more and more and more and more. And so the idea is that with this, it's the same concept. As artificial intelligence comes in, it's an opportunity for you to learn new things and to then go and create new stuff within your organization rather than us having more time to relax. But we're not going to go into the politics of that, or the economics of that. But essentially, that's the benefit of artificial intelligence. It will allow you to free up more time to do maybe more meaningful stuff inside of your job. Myth two: AI is only for people who work in tech. AI is for everyone, not just tech experts, according to Allison, and most people already use it in their everyday lives, even though they don't know it. If you use a search engine, click on product recommendations while shopping, or write an email with predictive text, you are using AI. She says some of the most exciting ways people are using artificial intelligence are outside of tech, such as in healthcare, where AI helps doctors transcribe, summarize notes, and fill out forms. That helps them be more present with patients. That is a great example of where artificial intelligence can allow us to be more human, she says. So, myth one is AI will take everyone's job. Myth two is AI is only for people who work in tech. That is not true either. Myth three: AI is one thing. AI is not a single technology, but a collection of different technologies found in everyday uses, like search engines, email apps, and the continuous glucose monitoring device Allison wears on her arm for diabetes. Go type 1 diabetes. I have type 1 diabetes, in case you didn't know. As AI becomes more common, she says it's important to learn about different ways you can use it. We need to learn which AI powered tools will be the best for what we want to do, she says. It's why we see certain specialists for our different needs: a doctor, a hairdresser, or tutor. By choosing the right tools, we can make sure we're using the most trustworthy and specialized AI for each task. And myth four: AI is inherently biased and should be avoided. It's true that AI can be biased, from large language models trained on internet opinions to models built with data that reflect societal biases to products made by developers with preconceived beliefs. But Allison encourages people to use AI as informed consumers who learn how the systems are built and understand the principles of companies building them. She says it's important that developers train AI systems on diverse and representative data sets and use fair and unbiased algorithms. Microsoft AI consumers, or Microsoft artificial intelligence consumers, can learn about the company's practices of responsible AI by design. And there is a link in the link. So I'll have a link of this episode, or of this blog, in the episode description. And then there's a link to Microsoft practices for responsible AI. So you can check that out to see how they're going to adhere to principles of fairness, reliability, and transparency. We all had to learn at some point that not everything on the internet is true. And we have to do the same with AI, Allison says. Learn its biases, learn its shortcomings, learn its strengths, and figure out how to use AI in your own life and make it a tool that serves you. So, don't shy away from AI if that's something that I can just get into everybody's heads. It's not going away. And one of the things that I see continuously from older Generation X, older millennials, even baby boomers, and then the baby boomers, the World War II generation, I guess. I don't remember what that generation is, but baby boomers. My apologies for my ignorance. And so is the lack of trying the new things. And all of this goes back to learning and being curious. The more that you can learn, and the more that you increase your I guess curiosity to learn, um you will continuously put yourself in a better place, and you will never get left behind, because you're going to be staying up to date on what is happening. And one of the things too is, like, if you have kids or grandchildren or great grandchildren, learn the things that they're learning as they're growing up, because those are the things that are going to predominantly be in the future. Whether or not you think that they're bad or not, I would say lean into them and find out what the benefits are, because technically all things can be used for evil, and I'm imagining all things can be used for good. We'll be right back. Something that has been on my mind lately is, what is it that makes someone curious to learn? And I'm not going to go deep dive into some philosophical thought about what does that. I'm assuming it has something to do with some type of nurturing aspect that was part of them as a child. And I don't mean learning in the aspect of questioning, even though I said this kind of maybe at the beginning of the podcast. I don't mean it in the sense of questioning everything that comes to you learning. I mean it in the sense of wanting to know more about the world and the world around you, and to educate yourself on the things that you do not understand and the things that you do not know as you're presented with those things inside of life. Now, I don't think maybe that everybody has to take it as far as I do, as everything comes up and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that sounds interesting," because everything sounds interesting to me. So I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I'll learn about that. I'll learn about that. I'll learn about that." And what can sometimes happen is if you don't have a plan in place for that learning, then you don't really learn anything at all. But we have to be able to have a curiosity for the questions that arise, especially when we're building our businesses and when we or if we're entrepreneurs in our, you know, in our job. And everybody should be an entrepreneur as best as they can inside of their career path, if that's a career path that they want to continue and be a part of with their life. And creating a learning environment at work or in your business is important for fostering innovation, which is something that I've been talking a lot about. It's also super important for enhancing performance and increasing employee satisfaction, because when people are learning more, they feel like they're more a part of the organization and they feel that they're going to be moving up in that organization and that the organization or business cares about the learning that they're doing. And these all can even go into family matters, as I always say. Anything that I say about an organization or business, you can extrapolate the main concepts and apply them to a family or to an organization. Family is an organization as well. And so, one of the things that you can do inside of your business to get started is reward continuous learning. So, you have to encourage your team members to pursue new skills. You have to encourage them to pursue new knowledge, experiences, and recognize their efforts. And you have to recognize their achievements. It takes a lot of time to create a climate that nurtures critical thinking, where challenging authority and speaking up are encouraged. So, when you are able to have your people express how they feel about something that they're being told or that they're being taught, you want to encourage that so that we can come to not only a better understanding of what it is that we're trying to solve, but then it also encourages them to critically think and it can help you encourage you to critically think. And one of the things that we do at 3T Warrior Academy is we have a meeting every Tuesday with our more immediate staff, that is our, our 40-hour a week staff or whatever. And so when we meet with them, one of the things is we do a meeting document and we put on there the main stuff that each team member wants to talk about, and then we put on there the personal and career or knowledge goals they're trying to achieve with what they're doing. So for instance, one of the biggest things that I'm, trying to finish reading one of these days is the 10 Faces of Innovation, learning more about UX design. So I spread tell that to the team that, I'm trying to learn more about UX design. I'm trying to learn more lighting for my YouTube channel, which then I can take my knowledge and share with them for the 3T Warrior Academy YouTube channel. Some of them are learning more software that will help us in our work. And so we always share that, and that's one of the ways that we try to create this climate of wanting to get better. And we also do like more personal stuff. Like I mentioned that I'm doing more with yoga. CJV mentions that he's doing more with ice baths, and May mentioned that she's getting back into yoga and things of that nature. So and if you don't know who those people are, CJV is my business partner. He's the owner and co-founder with me for 3T Warrior Academy and the main face of 3T Warrior Academy. And then May is our chief operations officer. And so it's very important that you have those people express those things, because that's how you can nurture critical thinking and learning. And you have to be open to learning opportunities as well as you go about, what's going on in the day, what's going on in the week, and what's going on in the meeting or in the month. So don't just sit in and expect others to, so as opportunities arise, those are opportunities for you and your team members to say, hey, let me go and learn about this, or can you go and learn about this? Is this something that would be interested you in learning, so that they can go and learn whatever it is that's needed? And that's another way of fostering that learning environment. The third one that I think is even the most important is setting aside time for learning. Because a lot of the times in work, we're bombarded with all the stuff that's going on. We're bombarded with the amount of time that we're putting into work. We're bombarded with all the amount of projects. And strategy always starts with your calendar. It's a saying that I read from Kobe Sanchez, I think her name is, or she said, and it's from a the IB one of the IBM CEOs. I think the third IBM CEO. I forgot his name, but he wrote a book, and that was one of the things that he said is strategy doesn't start at the top. Strategy starts with your calendar. And so if you're not setting in time for learning, then you're never going to learn. All of the things that are important in your day and in your life should be the things that get put on your schedule first. And then everything else can fill in around that. Because if you don't make time for those things that are the most important, then it's going to be eaten up with things that may not be important or what other people think that are important. And you don't want that to happen. So you have to set aside time for learning. You have to agree with your team members and your people on how much time they're going to be putting for it, how often they're going to be putting for it, and make sure that there are goals and, I guess KPIs, that are set to make sure that they're not just wasting that time or that you're not just wasting that time. Because one of the things that happens to me sometimes is I'll be like, okay, I'm going to learn this. And then I start learning it for like 10 minutes and then I get distracted and then I come back to it and I get distracted and I come back to it. So you have to make sure that you're progressing along your learning pathway, whatever that is. The other thing that you need to do is make learning easy, accessible, and meaningful. So, one of the things that you can do, and we don't do this fully right now, but you can create some type of internal knowledge systems inside of your business. So Teams does this really well because Teams can link up with LinkedIn Learning, and you can connect Udemy to it, I believe. And no, well, it's not through LinkedIn Learning; it's through Viva Learning, I think it is. So the Viva line of products from Microsoft are all of the corporate, like, I don't know, social employee interactions, I guess. And so one of them that they have is Viva Learning, I think is what it's called. And it connects to like LinkedIn Learning. It connects to like Udemy. It connects to all of those learning softwares and it brings them all in one place for your team members and staff to have access to if you're paying for them and paying for it to be able to see. So there are ways in which you can bring in-house all of these knowledge systems that give your team members the opportunity to learn new things. One of the other things that I do to make learning easy and accessible is because we use a lot of Microsoft stuff is whenever I'm wanting someone to do it, and I just did this with a team member, was that you can go to Microsoft and you can grab learning how-tos and then feed them up to people to get them to know the things that you want them to know if you're going to be working with them on certain things. So that's another thing to be thinking about when we're thinking about, making it easy and accessible. But, you could use something like Google Sites. You can use something like Microsoft Pages. You could use SharePoint to build out something that makes all of the knowledge stuff accessible to people, whether they're videos that you created, whether they're videos that, companies created, whether they're videos that colleges created. There's tons of great stuff online with like Stanford and MIT and all of these, companies that are trying to get and nonprofits or organizations that are trying to get information out to people for free. And you could input that all into one place where your team members can have access to. The other thing, and maybe the last thing, is that you can hire curious people. So, I don't know what makes someone curious. I don't know if that is an internal thing that people are born with, if they're nurtured through it without their life. Like I'm trying to think of like through my life being nurtured to be curious. I don't know if I ever was. I've always just not liked not knowing something. And when I don't know something, it frustrates me and I want to go learn about it and know about it. And so you want to somehow foster this curiousness, but you can also look for people and candidates who display intellectual curiosity. They also need a desire to grow and adapt to their skill set, and they need to be agile and motivated to go and learn the things that they don't know to move themselves forward. And sometimes that can be, learning can be very difficult. Sometimes it can be very frustrating learning, and it's not necessarily something that needs to come easy. Sometimes learning is hard, but having the knowledge and being able to do the skill needs to be able to be enough of the why maybe to have to learn the thing that you need to learn to get to the next level, which then kind of goes into maybe a bigger why and a bigger purpose that you have. But I'm not going to go into that right now. Just remember that if you're looking for people, you need to be able to hire and find people that are curious, want to learn, and want to grow themselves. Because some people, they go through life not being interested in being better. And so you need to somehow find, and again, I don't know what specifically it is, but you need to somehow find find people that have that desire to be better than they were the day before and to know more than they did the day before. So, kind of a recap on creating this learning environment. You want to reward continuous learning. You want to encourage your team members to pursue new skills, knowledge, and experiences. You need to be open to learning opportunities as you go throughout your work life. You need to set aside time for learning, okay? Or for your team members to set aside time for learning. And you need to make learning easy and accessible and meaningful. Use internal corporate knowledge systems or some type of knowledge system where you can bring it in one place to make it super accessible. And then you need to be able to look for and hire curious people. So with that, hope that you enjoyed this podcast episode. As I always say, Namo Amida Butsu. Remember, be thankful, grateful, and kind. And we will talk with you next time. Bye.
The corner store is selling spare. Bottled up food coffee. I can't believe I'm buying it. Isn't that genius?
Thank you so much for tuning into The Age of Jeremy. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. Please go ahead and give this a rating if your podcatcher allows you to. Make sure that you share this episode with a friend and also subscribe to this podcast if you are not already subscribed to it. Our opening song was Brave Faces Everyone by Spanish Love Songs. Our closing song was Threatening Each Other Recapitalism by Illuminati Hotties. I use Neumann microphones, the Zoom L8. I use Cubase as my software or my digital audio workstation, and I use Waves plugins. One last time, remember, be thankful, grateful, and kind. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.